And right now it's time for that time when we talk to our special guest. Tonight's special guest is David Nottage. David was the World Champion Toastmaster in 1996, a wonderful achievement. Today, David has a company called Talk Limited and works with corporations and their staff to ensure that when it comes to the time when you have to get up and deliver a speech, you can do it, and you can do it in style. We welcome David Nottage as our special guest on The Beat Goes On. It's a big welcome to David Nottage.
Nice to be here again, Joe.
David, wonderful to see you again and talk about a subject that is, well, so important to every one of us.
It is.
And for our viewers out there, I'll explain. I know we did do a little introduction about the fact that you have a company called Talk Limited, but you've all been through it. You're at a wedding. Somebody asks you to get up and talk to 130 people, unprepared, and you die a slow death.
Yes, they do.
Public speaking. Now, David, you've got some wonderful statistics on this, haven't you?
Yes, I do.
About the number of people in the world that fail when
miserably at public speaking.
Yeah.
Yes, the term is called glossophobia, the fear of public speaking.
Yeah.
I think the word glosso comes from Latin word for tongue or something along those lines.
Still.
That's the one that shrivels up and goes dry in the mouth. But 90% of people in the English-speaking world can't stand up and speak in any way, shape or form. So for your viewers out there, if they've ever stood up, even if they think they're horrible at it, they should pat themselves on the back. They're in the top 10%.
How much work do you do with corporates, David?
Oh, pretty much that's all I'm doing at the moment and have been for the last 19 years. Everyone from ASB Bank through to the Navy officers, Fletcher Engineering, Becker Engineers, pretty much anyone and everyone up and down the country.
Why do they place so much emphasis on this ability to speak in front of your colleagues?
A large part of leadership is being confident and being able to communicate confidently. And of course, as you want to move up in your career, get the promotion, get the tap on the shoulder, you need that skill. You need to be able to stand up in front of your own team, tell them what you want them to do and how you want them to do it.
What is it about making a fool of yourself that people fear most?
It's a really big one. It's perceived by your ego to be an attack on itself, and our egos are very precious. We don't like anything that makes us look bad. That's why we wear the clothes that we do, have the friends that we do, drive the cars that we do. It needs to satisfy our ego. So when you stand up and expose yourself to possible failure, the ego goes into overdrive. It starts a program called the flight and fight response, and I'm sure a lot of your viewers would know about that response. Over 200 physiological changes will take place in the body. What does physiological mean? It means some things are going to expand, some things are going to contract, and some things are going to excrete, and that's never good.
Let's freeze that moment. As you said, you wonderful words, fight or flight. So a human being, suddenly, whether it's 5 million years ago when we were confronted by a lion or a large mammoth, hairy mammoth, we had to fly, get out of there as fast as possible or fight.
That's right.
And then, David, you've got to get up and make a speech. The body then does 200 different things.
Correct, yes.
Let's look at those things that it does.
I think your viewers would know some of them. One of the first things that's going to happen is the drug adrenaline's going to be released. You're going to start breathing high into your chest. Your heart rate is going to increase to circulate the blood, to transport oxygen to different parts of the body. Now, one of the first places the oxygen's going to go to is your face, and that's going to cause a lot of us to go red or to go flush or to get quite hot. Now, the reason the blood's gone up there is to take some oxygen to put it for your eyes will dilate, your ears will become very acute, your nostrils will flare to give you a better sense of smell. Not necessarily the look we're going for as a speaker, but it happens.
And this is just a simple speech.
And that's right, and this is a simple speech. Now, all your senses are hyperactive now because they've got the extra oxygen from that blood, and they're collecting masses of data. Of course, the brain has to speed up to process all the data, which means most people end up speaking too fast and then start punctuating all the pauses with ums and ers. And if it gets a little bit too critical, of course, the mind goes blank, and that's when you just can't remember what to say. Needless to say, somehow you get through it and you sit down. The moment you sit down again and it's over, or the brain dumps all that extra data, and there's, oh, I didn't say such and such. Oh, I didn't think so and so. And that's how it all works.
And then you perceive your career's going down the drain.
Yeah. Oh.
And then you can't concentrate for the rest of the day because you think you've made a fool of yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah. How am I going to mend this? How am I going to do it? So there is a solution, isn't
there
there?
are. There are lots of things that we can do.
And you spend your day with the
helping
solutions.
people do that. Yeah. It's very important if you're going to stand up that you've got to look confident and competent. And there's a bit of a trick in that. I don't tell my people, I will make you feel confident and I will make you feel competent. I tell you, I will make you look confident and competent. Because for the audience, if what we're looking at, that's what counts. Yes. And I bet you now that a lot of your viewers have actually done a presentation, they've sat down and someone walked up to them and said, hey, you did a pretty good job with that. And your viewers would have sat there and thought, you're just saying that to make me feel better. But the truth is, what the audience sees is quite different to what you, the presenter, actually experience.
Yeah. So how can you make yourself look better in those first crucial 2 minutes of that speech?
Well, there's lots of things. First and foremost, make sure you practice your diaphragmatic breathing where you take the oxygen to the bottom part of the lungs. So if any of your viewers have ever done music lessons, practice wind instruments, Tai Chi, anything along those lines, just take the oxygen down to the bottom of their lungs. You know you're doing it wrong, and maybe your viewers could do it now sitting at home, just sitting there. If you take a deep breath, most people, their chest will rise and their shoulders will rise. Watch my chest and my shoulders. That's what we don't want our friends to do. Take the air to the bottom part of the lungs.
That's what you don't want. You don't want the shoulders to go up.
That's right. You don't want the shoulders going up. You don't want the chest coming up. Just 3 or 4 diaphragmatic breaths.
Right, let's...
to the bottom of the lungs.
And that's far better than the...
Well, it does several things, actually, Gerard. It certainly oxygenates the body. And apart from the oxygen being up here in your senses on your face, you also get a lot of extra oxygen in your leg muscles for running and kicking, and your arm muscles for fighting and punching. So the body's prepared to do both, flight or fight. So it needs a lot more oxygen. So we're going to do that.
What about the dryness in the mouth? What causes that?
Well, the dryness in the mouth, it's a little bit technical, but I'll run through it as best I can. The blood that the body uses to put, the extra blood that the body uses to put into your arm muscles, your leg muscles, and even a little bit more into your face, that blood's got to be given up by other parts of the body. The first place it gets taken from is the digestive organs. So most people would call that butterflies in the stomach, and so, I've got my tummy's feeling funny. That's the blood being drained out of your digestive organs. Now get this, the subconscious mind knows that it's just turned off your digestive system, so it does 2 other things. It suppresses your appetite, so you're just not hungry anymore, and to make sure you can't swallow anything into a gut that it's turned off, it closes off your saliva glands, and that's why a lot of people will now go dry in the mouth. It's just the body's way of making sure you don't put food into a system, a shutdown system. That's right. So it's fascinating. I mean, there are so many of these different things that are happening in your body. It's just amazing.
Tell me the people that knock on your door, David, and who are they and what are they like?
Pretty much everyone. I've had a lot of fathers come to me who have to stand up and give their daughter away at the wedding, and they have to do the father of the bride speech. They're mortified, absolutely mortified. They've managed to avoid speaking in public for 30 years, and now there's no way of getting out of this one. And they want to do it. And I also get a lot of people who need to get themselves into interview situations, and they know that they're going to be very nervous when they're interviewed for a position or a career, and they need to know how to have a good presence of mind. I'd say the vast majority of the people that use me would be the corporate market, simply because that's where it really counts. If you're going to stand up in a boardroom and make a business deal, if you can't look people in the eye and sound like you know what you're talking about, that's going to come across very poorly.
How much work to get up to a reasonably competent level to deliver that great speech? Much work, or is it?
A lot of people think it takes a lifetime, but surprisingly it's not. It's really about how well you practice. And this whole business about flight and fight, I'll tell you how bad it is, Jared. You know you've got a big presentation to make in a week's time, and you think to yourself, I better practice it. The sheer thought of actually even practicing it starts the flight and fight. And so what do most people do? I'll leave it. I'll do it tomorrow. and we put it off. And then, of course, it's showtime, and I should have practiced. But that's what we do. So if your viewers can be very strong on themselves, make sure they just stand up and practice out aloud. Don't practice in your head. Practice out aloud.
Now, David, you won Toastmasters of the World. You won the coveted number
World
one
Championship.
of the World Championship. So, and yet you had to practice. You didn't just get up there.
Practice. Man, I practiced for thousands of hours, yes.
Yeah.
Look, for me it all started way back when I was 21 years old, Jared. I was a glossophobic. I could not stand up. I had 4 staff, and I couldn't stand up and tell them what to do. So I recognised that I needed this skill, and so I went to an organisation called Toastmasters. Great organisation. I always endorse Toastmasters. Great thing for people to go to, and they just build your confidence and competence. That's what I did, and I just kept on going back and getting better and better and better, and in 1996 I was the best speaker in the world. I won the 1996 World Championship. And if you had told me back then, or when I was a 21-year-old, that one day I would enter a competition with 20,000 people from around the world, and I would stand up in front of 2,000 people in an audience and win the World Championship, well, I wouldn't have believed you.
Now, David, you're dealing with corporates, of course, but what about the individual? What about our viewers if they really do have a problem? I'd like to. Do you mind giving them a little chat?
Oh no, I don't mind. They might have to do it by email. I'm rather busy. I'm pretty much tied up with a lot of my corporate clients most days.
But can they give you a call?
Oh, they can give me a call.
Can I write it down? Or?
Sure, please do. The Auckland number.
The Auckland number
is 09
476
8229.
8229. And it's called Talk Limited.
That's right.
But it's spelt with a little
yes,
different.
There's a bit of a twist. TORQUE. Talk Limited. So just Google us and we'll be there. Can I make the suggestion, or just for your viewers' point of view, look what a great job Bob Parker did in Christchurch. And
I think he's just superb.
He was amazing. From day one, from the moment it happened, he provided leadership, confidence and competence that gave people hope, gave them guidance. I think he's done an outstanding job. We were very fortunate to have Bob Parker in that position at that time.
And look, as an assistant teacher, wouldn't he be wonderful?
Oh, man.
He's no longer the mayor, so you should give him and say, Bob, I've got a place for you at my school.
Maybe.
David.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming in today and talking about the biggest fear we all face.
Excellent.
Thanks. Thank you, David. The Beat Goes On. We'll be back after the break with Ian Wishart.